It really helps if I'm not muted. Oh my God. Well, it's live. That's the way it goes. Sorry, everybody. You weren't able to hear my dreamy radio voice or my dreamy podcasting voice. What can I say? Let's see who's online tonight. We got a lot of Hilario. I'm muted. Okay. Thank you, Hilario. How you doing? If you're around watching, feel free to comment. Let me know what you think. This is a completely random show because I'm not prepared to do one tonight. And sometimes I do that. I like to just go fly off the handle and see what's going on in the world. Obviously, the big news of the day is that the cargo ship stuck in the Suez Canal, and it's fascinating the timing of all this. And it's, I don't know. It's strange. Yeah, it could possibly be accidental. I know they were talking about 40, 50 mile an hour wind gusts. And when you've got a tanker that is that high in the air, I mean, it's something like 8 stories above the water, and it's top heavy and everything like that. There's always a chance that the wind could have been doing it. And apparently it was a very large crosswind. And so anyway, it got all kind of cocked and got stuck across the entire Suez Canal. So in the north of the Suez Canal, in the Mediterranean, in the south of the Suez Canal, in I believe this Red Sea, just ships are just starting to stack up and all over the place. And it's very troubling. Now, a lot of companies have diverted their ships, but you're looking at several $1 million per hour that goes through this canal. It's like $1 billion a day or $2 billion a day of commerce, of total value of commerce that goes through the Suez Canal. So, and I'm asking myself, okay, with all the technology that we have and everything like that, they're showing video, and I wish I had, like I said, I'm not really prepared to do a show tonight. So my apologies if I don't have any visuals tonight, but they're showing pictures of this gargantuan tanker and this little itty bitty tractor scooping out dirt, one shovel load at a time. So every time it takes a shovel load, that's several $1 million of time wasted where a cargo can't get through. But the bigger issue I have here is the Suez Canal was built as a conduit between the Mediterranean and the Red Sea, and you head further south in the Red Sea all along, I believe it's down to Saudi Arabia. You got the Straits of Hormuz, which is a very narrow area. And let's say if the United States Navy wanted to get a ship in that area, they couldn't do it without taking the long way around. So it's very, very fascinating stuff. I don't know what to think of it. Obviously, I don't like to really talk conspiracy theories, but I find it very convenient. And it might be something just stupidity, human error. There's always a human component to all this stuff anyway. So who knows? We really don't know. I wonder if I can pull up a visual really quick of the Suez Canal. Pardon me for looking down for a minute, but I'm going to see a map. Oh, there's a good map. I'm going to pull it up and see if I can get it on my screen here. I'm going to oh, come on. I'm trying to get a big image. Let's see if I can do this now. Oh, maybe. Let's go here. I'm going to share my screen and share screen. And Chrome tab. And Suez Canal map. I think this is it. And let's see what we got here. So hopefully you guys can see. Yeah, there it is. So if I look at the Suez Canal map here, and you can see my arrow here, you got the Red Sea here, just south of the canal, and you got the Mediterranean Sea just north of the canal. North of the canal, obviously, is Israel and Lebanon, and you have Syria over here and Jordan. I've actually been up here. It's very surreal. I've been along the Syrian border in northern Israel, what they call the Golan Heights. Some people call it the occupied territory and everything like that. So Israel's very fascinating. But then down south here is the Red Sea. And as you go further south, there's Saudi Arabia and everything. And the Straits of Hormuz are just a little bit further south. And it's troubling that you can bottleneck something like this. And just think about something like this could accidentally happen in the Panama Canal as well. Once again, stopping commerce, but also stopping the transit of military vessels. And I think therein lies the problem. Could be an issue, could be nothing. It could be something very, very simple, but it is something that, I don't know, gives a moment of pause to people. And I'm sure, just think, we've got Joe Biden as president. He gave his ever famous press conference, and some people, there's this meme going around, and I'm going to paraphrase this, so I'll probably get murder it, but you're better off just turning the teleprompter around, let the audience read the teleprompter. That's how bad it was. Guys, this is dangerous. This is, our enemies are looking at us like, oh, we're in a very weak position. We have weak leadership. In fact, we have no leadership. I talked about this on my show last week, where we have the trifecta. Our line of succession in our federal government is Joe Biden, who's senile, Kamala Harris, who's an extremist, and she was rejected by her own party. So not even the Democrats wanted her. She's an arrogant woman who really hasn't accomplished anything. And I'm not saying that because she's a woman. I'm just saying that in general. She literally did sleep her way into a big prosecutor position. The whole Willie Brown thing and stuff like that. It's been admitted to, it's been noted, and everything else like that. So don't, before you start saying, you wouldn't say that about any man who was in a position. Oh, yes, I would. In fact, I said it about Bill Clinton. Anyway, but so there's her, and then we've got Nancy Pelosi, who's also seemingly senile. She's gone off the deep end. She used to be very shrewd as a politician. She would have, 10 years ago, would have never done impeachment once, let alone twice. I don't know if it's just she got the taste of power and being the Speaker of the House, and you're the head honcho and that type of thing. Maybe that's what it was, and she wants to keep power. So she was afraid if she didn't play along with impeachment and all that stuff, she'd, and now this left-wing agenda is like beyond any sort of, sorry, my camera's being weird here. Near. All right, sorry about that. But anyway, she's being beyond anything that we would have ever thought her to be. She's really gone off the deep end. I always knew she was a left winger. Never once thought that she would do stupid stuff, like extremely stupid stuff. They're touching every third rail of politics. We're talking major gun control, not just partial gun control. They're talking about national gun registries and stuff like that. And then legalizing their cheating apparatus for taking elections. And there's a seat in Iowa, and forgive me, I don't know the name of the seat in Iowa. Let me see if I can. Marianne Miller Meeks, who won a narrow victory in Iowa. It was a Democrat loss. Remember, the Republicans won 15 seats, or had a net gain of 15 seats on election night. And we have Pelosi literally trying to steal a certified election. the things they were getting mad at that they thought Donald Trump was trying to do, they're doing. So it's a huge power grab, but I think there's even some Democrats that are thinking this is a little too much. We're pushing the envelope, but Nancy's going all in for this. And it's fascinating watching this. But we've got actually an interesting situation right now. It's a 5-seat margin in the House of Representatives, and there's a special election on June 1st in New Mexico, and it's a seat that arguably the Democrats are likely to win. The incumbent won the seat by 17 points. And then for whatever, Deb Haaland, she's the Democrat congresswoman in New Mexico. I used to live in New Mexico many years ago. She's a Democrat congresswoman who is now joining the Biden administration. So that leaves a vacancy. And Biden was nice enough to pick off 3 congressional seats, although the other 2 seats are largely solid Democrat. This one, like I said, it was a 17-point victory, but they had no candidate in November. The Republicans had no candidate. And let's see, a state senator, I think it's a guy by the name of Mark Moore. Correct me if I'm wrong, someone different there. But there was no Republican effort back in November. So maybe could be a pickup. Then all of a sudden you have net 4. And then if we could get four congressmen to switch parties, and it's happened before. I think I don't know. Maybe it's like 5 or 6 that have switched in one term. I don't remember, but I've seen. Maybe it's only been 2 or 3 too. But there's a possibility. This could be some interesting stuff. And then, I think this could be a bellwether election on Biden's popularity so far. And just think about this. We are still within the first 100 days of the Biden administration. And he's done everything by executive order, which is why it, pissed me off to no end that Obama was doing it. Quite frankly, I didn't like it that Trump was doing it. These things need to be legislated, and which really baffles me. Why did President Trump have to do so many executive orders when Paul Ryan and the Republicans were in charge of the House of Representatives and the Senate? Why? The Democrats have shown us that there's ways to do legislation without going through to be able to beat the filibuster, things like that. But and I don't know. It's just fascinating. So Trump had to do all these executive orders, and then that leaves it in place that Joe Biden can undo it with executive orders. So it's going to be this big seesaw back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The legislature no longer legislates. All they do is spend money. And that's a big problem. So anyway, this is going to be a big test of Biden's popularity here in the next, I don't know, when's the 100-day mark? The 100-day mark should be sometime in April, beginning of May, I think. Let's see. January, February, March, April. Yeah, somewhere in April. That'll be the 100-day mark. So it's going to be interesting. And of course, Biden's going to try to do executive order to create gun control, which is going to be interesting to see because that's going to go to the Supreme Court. Obviously going to go to the Supreme Court. So it's going to be interesting where things end up there. And then, of course, Virginia is the state that has a governor's race. There is no Republican candidate at this point. And what's the guy, Gregory Northam? He's actually term limited, so he can't run again. I think they only have one term in Virginia. I remember I met one guy, Governor Gilmore. I met him years ago during the Bush 2000 race. I got to meet Governor Gilmore. And yeah, they only get one 4-year term, and that's it. So I guess they're not there to be able to accomplish much, or they don't have the requirement of running for re-election, so they can actually govern, good or bad. But it also, I guess the silver lining is they're not around to have any bad habits. But so they don't have a Republican governor candidate yet, but Virginia could be another bellwether to see what's happening with Biden. And obviously, the state's gone significantly left in the past 2-3 election cycles, and to the point where the Republicans lost any control of any seat of government in the state of Virginia. But Virginia also went, overboard, and then they screwed the pooch with that. So let me get to some of your. Let me go through. I'm going through your comments right now. We've got David King in the house. We've got Hilario. All right, we got my brother. All right, Perry, how you doing? Everybody calls him Perry. I won't tell you his real name. We're all Greek gods. Darlene, how you doing? Got Hilario. Me. How's it going? Welcome. Oh, Jordan. Hey, dude, where you been at? I've been wandering aimlessly with no apparent destination. If you're around, do you want to come on? It'd be great. I know it's spur of the moment. Paul Ryan refused to send Trump any bills to get done. And Jacqueline, I feel like you're dodging 45. Let's go back to that time when you were trashing Biden. I have been trashing Biden. That's the whole point. I am perplexed. I am really perplexed as to what that comment means. So please clarify, Jackie. All right. And you want to come on? All right. And then, all right. So we got, of course, short-term face. Well, we don't talk about Northam's face. I can't believe he didn't get any flack at all. All right. So there's that. Okay. Let's see what else is gone. We talked about the Suez Canal. What a name, Suez. I'm pulling up some articles here. Anything? Oh yeah. Get this. The latest article of Ford is going to move production of a new vehicle out of Ohio, and they're now going to produce it in Mexico. Guys, Joe Biden has only been in office since January 20th. And Ford is already moving out of the United States. And I guess and that's a lot of union jobs and stuff like that. And I think the unions, from my understanding, are having significant buyer's remorse. Dogging. I'm not dogging 45 at all. I'm dogging in the sense that governing through executive order. Now, I'm not saying he didn't have a choice in the matter. In order to get anything done, he had to do executive order because Paul Ryan was standing in the way. So I'm not dogging. I'm just stating a fact. And Carolina's in the house. Hello, Carolina. But no, I get that. She's not coming on because she has to put a face on. All right. Well, I put my face on. I've got my sassy Greekness. See, I can just ooze Greekness. I just love it. So, but anyway, so Biden moving out of there. So here, another solid kick to the growing of American worker was delivered Wednesday as the United States Auto Workers Union informed employees via letter at the Avon Lake Ford plant in Ohio that it plans to move a major project started for the 2023 to its plant in Mexico. The letter stated that Ford is reining in on its agreement to build a next-gen vehicle at the Avon Lake plant. So they have nobody that's going to hold them accountable, so they can go ahead and move. That was the big thing of the Trump administration. He held them accountable. Like that company, what was it? Was it the dishwasher company that was doing it, where they're making dishwashers in the United States instead of overseas? Anyway, he's approaching these companies. And then look what's happening here in Wisconsin. We have this whole Foxconn deal that Trump spearheaded and Scott Walker spearheaded and everything like that. We got Foxconn to come to Wisconsin. They started breaking ground. It was supposed to be, 10,000 jobs or whatever like that. And it's supposed to be this big deal. And obviously it took a little bit longer. There's some hemming and hawing there at the end of the Walker administration. And then when Walker lost re-election, and all of a sudden it's Tony Evers, and suddenly, now Foxconn, well, we're not going to build the screens anymore. We'll build something there. So here's it's a big deal. So what on earth do these people have to feel accountable? Not even, look at foreign policy. Nobody feels accountable to the United States anymore. I guarantee they're no longer going to be paying for the United Nations or for NATO and all that stuff. They're all going to be kind of being stingy with their funds again. And now you've got Kim Jong-un launching missiles again. Like, I guarantee there will be a nuclear test before the end of summer. Kim Jong-un will test another nuclear weapon. Something that he didn't do in the 4 years of President Trump. Remember that. Pardon me. All right. Christine's in the house. Hello, Christine Klug. It's fascinating to watch. And now, of course, everything is racist this and racist that. And we've got now the Chinese are the next victim group that's being discriminated against. Okay, do you want to know who discriminated against the Chinese first? Go back and look at your history books. Back after the Civil War, during Reconstruction, we started building the transcontinental railroad, stuff like that. A lot of Chinese immigrants were brought to the United States. They came to the United States for a better life. China was a very poor country back in those days. And yes, Matt, Carrier, it was Carrier air conditioning. Anyway, so China was sending immigrants over, and people were just dropping everything to come to the United States. The gold rush was attracting people, and the railroad and all that stuff. Once the railroad ended, they finished building the railroad. They started doing things on their own. They seemed to congregate around San Francisco, and Chinatown was born. And the main drive in Chinatown was actually the main drive in San Francisco back in that time. Well, the Chinese started thriving, and the unions, the West Coast unions, started going after the Chinese workers, like the East Coast unions were going after the former slaves, of the black workers back in the day. So they were going back. Mind you, this was after the Civil War. Okay, so the slaves were freed and all that stuff, but the unions were huge in trying to prevent workers of other races. And this is, look back in your history books. Well, anyway, in China, so the Chinese, in spite of all their efforts to discriminate, the unions to discriminate against them, to prevent them from working, they became very entrepreneurial. It was like the hub of capitalism in San Francisco, there in Chinatown. I mean, you had some less than savory industries there. There was a lot of, let's say, ladies of the evening. I believe there was opium going around, and stuff like that. And it was just, but there was commerce, and so they would then effectively launder money and everything like that. But anyway, they were thriving. So the way that the unions were able to overcome some of that, and remember, unions, they're a big deal in the Democrat Party, but they were thriving. And so the unions got one of their own guys elected as mayor of San Francisco. And there's actually where things started changing. What they did was start to over-regulate, and that was where the discrimination really hit hard against the Chinese back in the day. So this was like the late 1800s at that point, right before, during like the Jim Crow laws and everything else. I mean, This was a lot of stuff going on all at once, and the country was growing at that point, and we were seeing. I mean, just look back at your history books. But this is the history that the Democrats never want to talk about. And quite frankly, the Republicans don't want to talk about it either. They weren't necessarily their hands weren't clean of all this either, because there were a lot of Republican Unionites as well back in the day, back in the late 1800s, and there was a lot of Republicans have to learn how to talk about race. That there's a lot of Republicans that make it seem, oh yeah, the country was, we ended slavery and everything was happy and everybody's saying kumbaya and what. No, it was very difficult. I think the thing that helped a lot of black families thrive back after slavery during Reconstruction and all that stuff, and eventually getting through Jim Crow, and there was a lot of racial discrimination in the early 1900s, not only against blacks but against Irish immigrants and Italians and Greeks and just everybody. There was discrimination, lots of discrimination. The things that made the black family thrive is because they had family, the nuclear family. Mother, father, children. They had their own communities where they started, thriving, having their own businesses, entrepreneurs. I mean, even look back at oh gosh, his name is escaping me. It'll come to it. But a former slave who ended up dying a multimillionaire because he was able to thrive and become something of himself. He became a businessman and an entrepreneur and a leader, a political leader as well. Oh gosh, David King, refresh my memory, please. I'm blanking. It's been a long weekend, a lot of running around this weekend. So they had Black Wall Street as well. But there was this nuclear family. So once again, regulation came into play. And it started affecting black families, breaking up the black families. I mean, the Great Society of Lyndon Baines Johnson many years later did that. Really destroyed the nuclear family in the black communities. And the Chinese were almost regulated out of existence, yet they were still able. Yeah, Frederick Douglass. Yes, thank you, Dan Malloy. Absolutely, Frederick Douglass. Look him up as well. But anyway, go back and look at that. This is the history that the Republicans don't want. I mean, the Democrats don't want to tell you about. Their hands aren't clean. They regulated. And does that sound familiar? Guess what's happening now? Regulating businesses out of existence, but now only this time it's not racial, it's ideological. Conservatives. Oh, we got to regulate them out of business. Oh, we got to regulate parlor out of business. We got to regulate. Oh, the guy won't bake a cake for a gay wedding. We got to regulate him out of business. The guy, so you're not allowed to have religious convictions. And the thing about the guy with the baking of the cake, he wasn't denying anybody any business. If you're gay, you want to come in and buy a cake or buy some donuts or whatever, whatever, come buy it. They asked him to bake a cake celebrating a gay marriage, and he didn't want to do it. Well, if I were gay and I wanted to have someone bake my cake on my wedding day, don't you think that you'd want to have a participant in your wedding be a willing participant? I mean, think about that. I guarantee there would be this, how would you say it? This, there will be a secret sauce in that frosting if you force someone to bake you a cake. I guarantee it. So this guy is no longer doing weddings. A huge portion of this guy's business, his livelihood, is now gone because he's not doing wedding cakes anymore. At all. And it's a huge, huge deal. And let's see what else I might have to talk about tonight. Like I said, today's show was very impromptu. So, I should bring on somebody. Let's see what we have here. Oh, wow. Yeah. Dear Biden administration, it would be a whole lot easier if you just turned the teleprompter around and let us read it. Sincerely, America. So it's fascinating watching the press conferences with Joe Biden. Look at his press conferences. It's all softball questions, not a single difficult question. The guy can't form a sentence. He's sick. Dare I say I don't want Kamala to be president. It scares the hell out of me. But it scares the hell out of me about what people are thinking in the United States right now. And it's sad. Very sad. And then here's a little story. Here's a little tidbit of history. Tribolet, a notorious jester for Louis the XII and Francis the First, once slapped the king in the butt, which greatly angered him. But then he was given a chance to be forgiven if he could think of something more clever. He said, "I'm sorry, I mistook you for the queen." So when he was sentenced to death for making fun of people, he was allowed to choose how he would die. So he chose to die of old age. The speechless king let him go. Anyway, so that's kind of fun. Well, anyway, that's my show for tonight. It's not going to be a very long show. I apologize. I know you guys wanted me to talk. I know Hilario really wanted a 2-hour show. But the big reason I went on tonight is because I wanted to test I needed to test my new router because I need to make sure I have the bandwidth, and I hope I'm coming through okay. It's not too bad anyway. Let's see. Do I have anything else I want to share with you before I say goodnight? Or if there's anything else you think I should talk about, we only have a couple minutes here. I'm not going to make this a really long show. But, oh, yes, there is one thing I want to share with you. I got to share this. This is the big thing. Let's show this picture. This is a screenshot of a Fox News report. Display of toxic masculinity. New residents in Austin call cops on noisy car club. So now car shows are toxic masculinity. Seriously, these liberal women are driving me crazy. Do they understand? Well, first of all, how many women attend these car shows? There's a lot of women there who like guys who like cars. It's just the way it is. But also, I know several women myself that own these classic cars. They refinish it themselves. They do the work. They do the body work on them, the engine work. They know how they're doing. So you're saying they're toxically masculine? Because some of these women are, drop dead gorgeous, and they're very feminine. And yet they know they know their way around a toolbox and around an engine in a car. We've got to stop this nonsense. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse. These liberal woke women are absolutely driving me crazy. So let me check your comments one last time before we go. Take the Greek filter off. What Greek filter? I have no filter on. I have no idea what it is, but I ooze Greekness. I have no choice. It's in my body. It's the way I am. You guys are funny. So there, we're gonna go. There, I am now in Greece. I'm reporting to you live from Athens. This is Paris Procopus. Act now and get a free Chia Pet. So I'll leave you with this thought. This is a quote from Plato. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, right? We act responsibly without any laws. Well, bad people will find a way around the laws. Plato. Did you guys know I used to like to impress the ladies by saying I was a direct descendant of Plato? I can trace my roots all the way back to Plato. Yep, so that's right. My dad's name is Plato. And as you go through your days this week, and I think I'll be back on Wednesday night, but as you go through your days, just remember, you're going to deal with a lot of stupid people out there, but remember, there are no stupid questions. But there sure are a lot of inquisitive idiots. So thank you guys. Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I will see you in a few nights. Stay out of trouble and have fun. Talk to you soon. Bye.